Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you all had an awesome weekend. I had an awesome weekend. I wasn't going to share this, but I think I'm going to share this. I was going to talk about the empath's brain today, but I think this is way more interesting. So, kind of going off grid a little bit. So, I have been deep diving into psychedelic assisted psychotherapy and took a whole conference on it, and it is very similar to the work that I do with hypnotherapy because it is all based in the subconscious, and it is just ripe with symbolism and healing and deconstruction. And so I went on Friday and I had a ketamine assisted psychotherapy experience with a medical doctor. Ketamine is the only legal psychedelic at this point, and the FDA is like going gangbusters, and there's all of this research and all of this research with like top places like Johns Hopkins and Stanford and Harvard. And there it is, this cutting edge, it's cutting edge in the mental health field. And so I'm super stoked about it. And all of the research is coming back super positive, and it's helps with depression and anxiety and PTSD, addictions, depending on what psychedelic you use. It's also, there's a bunch of research for end of life care, and what the overall theme is with all of these studies is that a lot of our mental health, our mental illnesses, I should say, are actually stem from, it's not just one because it is multi-systemic. It's a whole bunch of stuff, but one of the factors that they're finding is that there's a lack of connection and a lack of community. And so, and a lack of purpose of like why we're here and why are we doing this? So I have been researching this heavily, and I'm considering doing a postgraduate program to learn how to administer it and sit. And I mean, the sitting part I got, like I could do that because I've been doing hypno for 20 years. It's the same thing. You sit and you hold space for somebody, right? But part of this research is also exploring it myself. And so I went on Friday and I had this amazing experience. And so, I took some lozenges and the medical doctor sat with me. And then what kind of came were these profound, connected, I wanted to go into heal trauma. Let me just start with that, right? So I've had childhood trauma, and then of course, with my son, Jack. And so that was my intention, was to go in and heal trauma. And so what dots were connected were like how my ego behaviors stem from wounds, okay? And that's what I wanted to share and talk about with you all today. And so one of the things that came to me is that we're all souls in a human body, okay? And so and it's kind of funny, and you could totally get along with me, is that what came to me is that we're all these souls in human suits, right? So it's just like, if you could imagine yourself like all zipped up in your human suit, right? And then you unzip it, and then you have this beautiful soul within this suit, right? And so these suits, so to speak, are like armor, right? And so part of what was coming was that we're all these wounded healers, okay? And those wounds are actually portals into your healing, into what your soul's purpose is. And so they're portals into your soul. And so when you give yourself that invitation to heal these wounds, that is the portal to your spirituality. That is the portal to getting back to your authentic self. Because what happens is, like, we have a wound that happens to us, and then we decide to behave. We make a belief about ourselves, and then we decide to we decide to behave in a certain way, right? And so that behavior is kind of like a patchwork, right? Like, I'm gonna get a little out there, but who has seen Silence of the Lambs? Like, I just recently watched it again, which I think is why it's on top of my head. But there's this scene like where the guy captures the women, puts them down in that like hole or whatever, and he's like making these skin suits out of them, right? But it's like, if you look at like, it's like, that's the imagery, sorry people, but that like patchwork, right? That would be like a wound, right? And then you slap it on you and you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to behave this way. Or now I'm going to, become a medical doctor, or I'm going to, show up as like, a goth teenager or whatever. And so when you start to kind of look at yourself and like how you dress and how you behave, and like, they're all these different masks that we are putting on to tell the world, hey, I'm okay. Or, hey, don't come anywhere near me. Or, or whatever it is, right? And so are these ego defense mechanisms, right, which are there for your survival to get you through your childhood, are actually now going to be used for your healing. So it's like, how can I decondition myself from these facades that I put up? And the answer is, the way that you decondition yourself is to heal yourself. And so, the way that I roll with my clients is, the more that we could delve into your emotional and psychological gunk, essentially, or those wounds, the more spiritually aligned you become, right? And so then those like then that skin suit, sorry, it's kind of gross, that human suit, you could kind of start to shed it, and then you journey back into yourself, and you journey to heal. And so that is really what I wanted to share this morning. It was a really powerful experience. I also learned how valuable rest is, because all I wanted to do yesterday is sleep and nap. I didn't get out of bed until like 1:30 in the afternoon. Like, and what was also really cool is like, like, I stopped kind of like ruminating. Like, who ruminates? Like, if something happens and then you're just kind of like perseverating on it, right? And you're just kind of like chewing on it and chewing on it and chewing on it. Like, I know I do that. And that was also one of like, at least the short-term benefits of this journey experience, was like, there was no more rumination. Like, I'm on day 3 and I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, okay, that person is just a soul in a human suit. And it's kind of like funny, because I went to Home Depot yesterday with my husband, because we're redoing our kitchens, and I was like, wow, look at all these human suits. Like, I was like, it was just really neat to see people as souls, as wounded souls, right? And we all have to be gentle with each other. Life is a journey of healing and learning, as well as releasing. 100%, Amy. Like, and so when you are taking a walk, or when you're in the supermarket, or at Home Depot, or with your family at home, know that we're all these wounded souls, and that we have to be gentle with each other. And when you start to look at these other humans as these wounded souls, right? Then there's that connection, and then there's that grace, and then there's like, okay, we're all on this journey together. And so, yeah, so that's what I wanted to share today. And I was going to talk about the empath's brain, but that doesn't even seem, I mean, it is really cool, but, and I, another thing that I got is a lot of times those who identify as empaths, which I am one, I know Amy watching is another one, and there's a lot of empaths in this group, is that it's a little bit of nature and nurture, right? So, your spiritual capacities and gifts are, one, passed down ancestrally and generationally. Like, things totally come to me in dreams, and I'm a total feeler. Like, the other day, one of my daughters was like telling me all about her dreams, and I was like, oh yeah, there it is. Like, me, my mom, my daughter, my grandmother, like, we're like a major dream family. But with being an empath, there is that, right? There's that hereditary piece to it. And there is lots of research out there that also shows that a lot of empaths also survived traumatic childhoods. And when you grew up with abuse or trauma, what happens is that we become hypervigilant, right? And then when that happens, we notice all of the super, super, super subtle things that someone who didn't grow up with trauma may not be picking up, right? And so we're looking and we're sensing and we're feeling for any slight little change, right? That could, have something happen. And so because of that empath's brain develops differently. And so our mirror neuron system, which is basically how we connect, like, we're mirroring somebody else and we're feeling what they're feeling. Like the average, like the empath's brain, their mirror neuron system is like bonkers out there, research speaking, versus an average neurotypical brain. And so, so I'll throw that in there for good measure because it was on my list of things to talk about. But if you have any questions, and so what is going to happen, like I'm clearly going to still do like all the work that I usually do because it is very psycho-spiritual. But now I'm going to also, along with hypnotherapy, is that I will be helping those folks who, I know you're totally bonkers, so am I. I love you. That's why I love you. I attract totally bonkers people. Like, if you are normal, I don't know what you're doing here because, like, I'm a weirdo. I attract them. If you ever feel like you are, like, that you don't fit in, like, come this way because those are the people that I attract. So I'm sorry if you're like super normal, maybe. Shoot, now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so what I'm, will be also doing in addition to everything that I usually do is psychedelic integration therapy. And so if anybody has had an experience, has had a journey, then you come to me and I help you process it, because again, it is very, very similar to hypnotherapy because it is all that psycho-spiritual aspect, and it's very symbolic and really kind of badass. I mean, I'm like floored and I'm like super psyched because it really is cutting edge for the mental health, period. So, okie dokie. That is what I wanted to share today. Yeah, that's it. More to come. And I will see you back here next Monday, and I will be around all week. All right. Mwah. Bye.